We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Supreme Court decisions, social media, cocaine in the White House, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. The U.S. Supreme Court issued a slew of important decisions last week. On Thursday, the court halted the use of race as a factor in college admissions, stopping a practice that discriminated against Asian Americans. Friday, the court struck down the Biden administration's plan to forgive student loan debt for millions of Americans. In a 6-3 decision, the court's conservative majority held that the administration had gone beyond its power in creating the plan, which would have forgiven approximately $400 billion and allowed borrowers to cancel up to $20,000 in student loan debts. Chief Justice John Roberts, writing for the majority, said that the law cited by the Biden administration, the 2003 HEROES Act, requires that Congress speak clearly before a department secretary can unilaterally alter large sections of the American economy. Following the ruling, President Biden unveiled new measures to try and provide additional debt relief. The decision came as no surprise, as Nancy Pelosi previously stated that Biden did not have the right to do this, and Pelosi was cited in the majority opinion. The U.S. Supreme Court also ruled that businesses cannot be forced to perform work that conflicts with owners' beliefs. The court's majority, in a 6-3 decision, sided with Lorie Smith, a Colorado web designer opposed to same-sex marriage. Smith challenged Colorado's anti-discrimination law, claiming that requiring her to serve LGBTQ plus couples unconstitutionally forced her to partake in something she didn't believe in. The court sided with Smith in the decision. Justice Neil Gorsuch, writing for the majority, stated that the government may not interfere with an uninhibited marketplace of ideas, adding that the constitutional right to the First Amendment overrides any state law. The White House was briefly evacuated Sunday evening while President Biden was at Camp David after the Secret Service discovered suspicious powder in a common area of the West Wing, and a preliminary test showed the substance was cocaine, 2 law enforcement officials said. Secret Service agents were doing routine rounds on Sunday when they found the white powder. The officials were not authorized to discuss an ongoing investigation and spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity. ESPN laid off a series of top on-air commentators on Friday, shocking the sports world, as some of the most high-profile names on television got the pink slip. Among those let go, according to the reports, were NBA analyst Jeff Van Gundy, analyst and former NBA star Jalen Rose, ESPN commentator Max Kellerman, former NFL star and broadcaster Keyshawn Johnson, and NFL reporter Suzy Kolber. The layoffs are part of a cost-cutting measure by ESPN's parent company Disney in an ongoing effort to slash costs across a number of their subsidiaries. Kolber tweeted that she joined the many hardworking colleagues who have been laid off. Longevity for a woman in the business is something I'm especially proud of. Americans are apparently getting lazier, at least according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. In the American Time Use Survey released this past week, the BLS found that Americans working full-time from home, 33% in 2022, up from 25% in 2019, put in 2.5 hours fewer a day than their colleagues at the office. It's no wonder labor force productivity has been negative for the past 5 straight quarters amid office occupancy that remains at sub 50% in the largest U.S. cities, writes Datatech Research co-founder Nicholas Colas. Overall, the U.S. civilian population worked an average of 3.23 hours a day in 2022, down from 3.26 hours a day in 2019. That seemingly low number is for the total population, including non-workers like babies. Labor productivity is the engine for gains in economic output, and living standards are driven by more output per worker. Russia indicated Tuesday it may be open to discussing a potential prisoner swap with the U.S. that could involve jailed Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich. According to the New York Times, the Kremlin said any talks must be private. We have said that there have been certain contacts on the subject, but we don't want them to be discussed in public, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said. They must be carried out and continue in complete silence. The State Department released no details on the negotiations. Gershkovich was arrested in March and accused of espionage, allegations he and the Journal deny. The U.S. engaged in a prisoner swap with Russia last year to secure the release of WNBA star Brittany Griner in exchange for the release of notorious arms dealer Victor Bout. In response to a lawsuit filed by the Republican Attorneys General of Louisiana and Missouri, a federal judge on Tuesday severely limited how U.S. government officials can meet and communicate with social media companies, the Washington Post reported. The attorneys general claimed that officials from the Biden administration agencies encouraged the social media companies to crack down on information related to COVID-19 and elections, which amounted to, quote, the most egregious violations of the First Amendment in the history of the United States of America, unquote. Judge Terry Doherty wrote in the injunction that the attorneys general have produced evidence of a massive effort by the defendants from the White House to federal agencies to suppress speech based on its content. Sources also say the attempts at censorship have been ongoing and include blocking social media posts by presidential candidate RFK Jr. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of The Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Audible, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.